What is up, my cryptids and creatures, my fellow builders, and my darling seekers? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Line, I'm a big nerd, and I do art about it, and I write about it. We are going to talk a whole lot about both of those things today as we go over some of the figure studies I made for Raw Straw's Bootcamp Assignment 2.1, how I edited them into concept art for my world building, and how world building challenges have helped me branch out in all sorts of ways, and how taking those challenges can benefit you as both an artist and a writer as well. So, let's get into it. As I mentioned, today I'm presenting the figure studies I did for the 2.1 Bootcamp assignment. That is Figures and Anatomy, Flow and Gesture. So here's what we had to turn in. 5 15-minute poses arranged in a composition. So that's exactly what I submitted. But what if I just, yeah, get that fantasy concept art in there real quick? So yeah, I turned in the assignment as intended, just plain old figures, but I threw in my own twist for fun at the end of it. Since I'm putting so much focus on this race in my WorldAnvil summer camp adventures, it's only fitting that I made them some proper art, even if they are rough figures. Either way, I think this picture looks super good on the article page. So yeah, who do we have in our lineup here? Let's see. In this case, we'll go right to left, just for funsies. On the right we have Water Iskani, perhaps from some brackish waters, got that green tint, and followed by Air next to her. Check out that torso, that's basically just made of air. I love that. Then Fire, pushing back her flaming hair with embered hands. Next to her is Earth, with stone shaping her back, and next to her, another Earth. And it's actually one that I mentioned in my previous video, which you should go check out. It's a gemstone aspected Iskani with ruby manifestations. I thought that one was especially neat, and I love the idea of having a race that's just made up of gemstones in various parts of their bodies. You know, like the rest who have water on their body, air, earth, fire. Getting into the figure drawing process now, I started off with a bunch of shorter poses and ended up doing 5 2-minute poses, 5 5-minute poses, and then finally tackling the 5 15-minute poses. I don't do figure studies all that often, but I'm realizing that I should, since this felt really tough in a way I didn't expect. But it did make me feel a little bit better watching through the 2.1 class video, seeing even Ross flounder around with the figure studies, and realizing that a couple minutes is really not a long time to sit there and draw something. Overall, this was a challenge, and that has a lot to do with what I'll be talking about in this week's video. But I guess in a way this is kind of different, but only a little bit different. Now, I know in my last video I said I was going to be putting up a 2-week update on summer camp, but honestly, I don't feel quite ready for that. A lot of other really high priority matters have been holding a lot of my time and attention, way too much, so I haven't really written a whole lot in the meantime, but I thought I'd take this time to reflect on past challenges and see where they've taken me and, more importantly, how they've helped me grow as an artist and a world builder. So real quick, let's take a peep at my WorldAnvil author page just to get a glimpse of my badges, which that's probably one of my favorite little features on this website. There's such a cute way to keep track of community events that you've taken part in. But as you can see, I have been poking my head in various challenges since 2018. Which looks like it was starting in October of that year when I did Inktober with the WorldAnvil prompts. That year was the first and only year, actually, that I've started and fully committed to completing Inktober, which I think really says something about the power of hopping into challenges as part of a community. I don't think I've dabbled in it much since. Inktober's not necessarily my favorite thing ever, but it was something I was really proud of, and, you know, even if my work at the time wasn't exactly stellar, that's not really what it's about in the end, right? It's not about how amazing the end result is, but just the fact that you stuck it through to the end. So much of the work I've done in past challenges has had to see countless changes to suit the world as it is today, but the new revised shiny content only exists because I wrote those bad, outdated versions at one point. Speaking of old, outdated content, World Ember 2018 was my very first jump into WorldAnvil's big community challenges, and it was really where I first put Malcora on the map, so to speak, by getting my content out there for the world to see. This was back when the world was still a just completely a D&D setting. So a whole lot of my content just consisted of twists on existing lores, stories we forged through in-game actions, our campaign, and interpretations of D&D game mechanics as they would be seen in the world. I did, however, push some original content, like the seeds of the origins of the world itself, its gods, pantheons, and a lot more of that kind of content, but it was mostly that D&D stuff. By the time Summer Camp 2019 rolled around, I had moved away from the D&D setting, and I shifted into making things a bit more original. I believe at this point I was still trying to work with the classic fantasy races like humans, elves, and dwarves and such, but I was finding ways to write them in their histories as something brand new. Working with prompts like this for the first time really helped me get out of the box with my thinking and to write about things I normally wouldn't just think up on my own. By the time WorldAnvil came around again, oh, I was ready. We were jumping right out of the classic fantasy races and into original concepts. Well, as original as things come these days, but it was during WorldAnvil in 2019 that the first two actual races of Malcora came to light, being the Boharan and the Nimata. The Iskani from my last video didn't appear until the following year, but now we had the framework for our races and we had an idea of how we were going to approach them and their origins. Around this time, I think January, February, another fun challenge popped up as well, and that was the Conlang Challenge. Let me tell you, this sent me down an absolute rabbit hole. I am a lover of linguistics, and I spent hours upon hours watching videos, reading, and studying different linguistic elements to give this challenge a try. It was simple, mostly prose-based, but language had to be the focus of the short story in some way, and through this challenge I was inspired to develop Nimai, the language of the Nimata. Being the very first challenge of 2020, it put a pretty bad year off to a pretty good start as far as writing was concerned. And really, as bad as the year was in general, it was a pretty great year for my world building. As hard as things were, I was able to stick it through yet another year of summer camp, this time getting Diamond or die, am I right kids? And WorldAnvil completing my 10,000 words in time. Having these challenges push me to do my best, even in times where I wanted to do nothing at all, was absolutely monumental for me. Not only was this push to make more content a huge deal, there's also a lot more to the challenges than just making the stuff. There's also posting it. Other people got to see the things I was working on, and that was absolutely petrifying when I first got started. As a serial perfectionist, I knew the content I was publishing was rather unpolished. These challenges were races against the calendar, after all. And, well, scary as it was, I did it. I made content, I shared it with others, I talked about it with members of the community, and I was a billion times better for it. This is why I absolutely believe that challenges like this are essential for your growth as an artist and as a writer. They give you ample opportunity to be creative, to think outside the box, and to connect you with other people who are doing the exact same thing. Challenging yourself shows that a lot of the limitations that you've imagined for yourself are completely arbitrary. I didn't know how much I could accomplish until I just picked up my hammer and joined the fray, and you'll never really know until you do the same. So go out there, put yourself on the spot, talk to people, take on those challenges that scare you. Being a creative is so dang cool when you surround yourself with more people like you, and you should take every opportunity to wow and to be wowed by others. I am so eager to see where this year's summer camp takes me and to see what future endeavors it sets me up for, and to see what friends I can make along the way. Before we wrap up this video, I wanted to give a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon who bring me offerings of money in support of what I do. Join my Patreon community to get behind the scenes of my cryptid artist life with art ramblings, updates, and dark cryptid secrets that you won't see just anywhere on social media. All my links are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next videos. I'll be putting out more world building and art content, so if you're a fan of both of those things, I'd love to have you stick around. Stay cool, you cryptids and creatures, and all of my seekers, and I will catch you in my next video. In the meantime, light up the forge, grab your hammers, and let's go world build. See ya!